So hi, very good afternoon to all of you and welcome back RB2 and 5. So I hope that you must have gone through the other history classes also and you must be comfortable, and at the same point of time you must be learning something. So today we are going to start Art and Culture class 1. Believe me, I had no idea till this place that when I came to this podium, I thought that it is in another batch and it is class number 7 or 8. And now I got to know that it is RB2 and 5 only because I recognized some names from RB2 and 5. So Pratik and Laltendu, yours name were very familiar to me, and then I thought that, oh my God, it is not that particular batch. So, chalo, it's surprising for me also that I thought that it would be some other batch and class number 8 or 9. But now we are going to start the art and culture. So पहली क्लास है, तब तो बहुत सारी चीजें हैं बात करने के लिए. So I didn't came with this frame of mind. Now, so let's begin with that art and culture class number 1. So thank you for all those appreciation, and it's one of the very important section. Art and culture is one of the very important section as far as your both the stages of your exam is concerned. Let me explain once again that what all things do come in the prelims examination and what all things do come in the mains examination. So as far as the history is concerned, you have 5 portions of the history. The first portion is the ancient medieval, second portion you can say art and culture, then third you can call modern Indian history, fourth is world history, and then fifth is post-independence consolidation. So overall, history syllabus can be classified into these 5 headings: ancient, medieval, modern, art and culture, world history, and then post-independence consolidation. When it comes to the prelims examination, so you have questions from the ancient, medieval, art and culture, and modern Indian history. So these 3 are very much present over here in the prelims examination. You will not get any question from the world history and then also post-independence consolidation, because that's a thing of the mains examination. Then when it comes to the mains examination, so obviously world history and post-independence consolidation is there, but what has gone into the minds of the planning of the UPSC that from last 4-5 years, they have not asked any question from the post-independence consolidation in mains exam, though it is part of the main syllabus only. And as far as the world history is concerned, last year there were no questions. Uske pehle there was 1 question, there was 2 questions. So it's a little bit of unpredictable that how many questions that, or if at all they would be asking any question from the world history or not. But as compared to the post-independence consolidation, they do ask 1 or 2 questions from the world history. But ancient, medieval, art and culture, and then modern, they are very much there in the mains part also. But you need to understand, though the ancient and medieval, it is not specifically mentioned in the main syllabus, and what is mentioned, that art and culture is mentioned. The very first part of the GS paper 1 syllabus is that art and culture of India, salient aspect of that different art forms, architecture, these all things have been mentioned. And then they have mentioned 2 parts of the modern. One is the all the beginnings from middle of the 17th century, important personalities, significant events, this is what is mentioned. And then second part of the modern syllabus that they have mentioned is the freedom struggle. So this is what is specifically mentioned in the main syllabus. But what I want to emphasize over here, though you have only 1 section art and culture is mentioned, but the ancient questions are implicit in that one, and medieval questions are also implicit in that one. And how come we have come to this conclusion? Because looking at the previous year paper, we have seen that though there were so many questions which have historical nature, which did add historical nature, so don't never ever, when you are writing the mains exam, so in the prelims you are understanding, you are revising the ancient and medieval then, but in mains exam also, whichever class notes you have, I'm not asking you to go through the books. but at the mains stage, please revise the class notes of ancient and medieval, and then art and culture you obviously are going to revise. Then most of you must be thinking about that what all reference books to be taken from the market for this particular subject. So let me say in the beginning, today's class is not about the reference book. In fact, I am here just to convince you that don't go after the reference book. Try to understand that what all things that would be taught in the classes, and accordingly we will see that if something extra can be added to your class, but otherwise my advice in this particular class would be don't run after the reference book. Even if you have bought some of the reference book in art and culture, I will ask some questions to you what you have bought, and accordingly I will suggest. But today's class I am not focusing on this particular reference material. Now, after this one, so what else we need to see? So trend analysis I must have done in your modern Indian history classes. I hope I must have done that. How many questions they do ask from this one? Let me repeat once again. So in prelims examination, when it comes to the art and culture, so they do ask 5 to 7 questions. That is the average number of the questions from art and culture. 5 to 7 questions from the art and culture in the prelims examination. And then if you add ancient medieval, so it will become 10 question. And if you add modern Indian history, so it can go to 19, 18 questions. So total 18 to 19 question you can expect from the part of history in the prelims examination. Then what about the mains examination? So in mains examination, the general trend from art and culture, it has been, they were asking average 3 questions. It was only last year when they asked in 2020, 4.5 questions from art and culture. Yes, I'm saying 4.5 because there questions are quite intermixed type. One question which you could have solved from what you have studied from the society, and at the same point of time from culture also. So many a times you will not be able to specifically differentiate that it is a society question or culture question. In fact, you can say that it is a socio-cultural question. Then, so socio-cultural question which will, you will get benefit from the society classes also, and you will get benefit from the culture classes also. So there is always a one question in the paper which is socio-cultural in nature. Otherwise, specific culture, you can get 2.5, and then 3 questions. So this way they do ask, and there is a regularity in the art and culture questions that there has been no year in mains examination where they have not asked art and culture questions. In fact, there were few years that people, even the toppers, they said that the most difficult question that seemed to them was the art and culture. Then, so I will share some instances also with you. So this is the one part. Then moreover, it has a lot to play in the history of this country, and it has a lot to play in the interviews of yours. Then, so in the interview of yours, and later you will realize after the course would be over, so how it is going to help in these all endeavors. So the very first thing in today's class that we need to start, my question is to you, that since I would be asking few questions to you, so my question to you is that, very simple question. I know that this question would never be asked in the exam. Nobody will ask you that what you understand by the culture, but it is very important to know that what is your understanding of culture. What do you consider as a culture? Then, so what do you consider as a culture? Please don't ask anything about the reference book. When I'll say, so then you can ask. I have already given the disclaimer that what is the agenda of the today's class. So no reference book today would be discussed. Then, so please tell me that what is your understanding of culture? What do you understand? What is culture? Can you give me a little bit of that, few people who can contribute to the response screen, that what is your understanding of culture? That what you consider as a culture? There are so many discussions that has to be done in the today's class related to culture. So I'm waiting for your responses. Way of living, Dhananjay has said. Then Kalyan, way of living. Culture is what we are. Rudrans, Arpit, culture is the way of life differing across space and time. Very good. Yashwardhan, behavior of group of people. Good. Art of living. Shivam, the advanced norms of the society, the practices we follow in society, ideology, holistic view, customs, ideas, belief, very good. Then idea of nature of society, culture is our belief, ideas, customs, behavior. So fairly it is visible that you have an understanding of the culture, what you consider as a culture, and so you all have the understanding of culture, that what you know about the culture. In fact, the way we are interacting today, the way we behave, then many of you have written way of living. So way of living, that it encompasses a broader definition of the culture. So what is there inside the way of living? So let's declassify way of living. When you're talking about the way of living, so way of living includes the way you talk, the language in which you speak, the way you behave, the festivals you celebrate, then the symbols in the society, or symbols of the greeting, and symbols of meeting, then meeting and greeting. Then apart from that, the religion that you practice, the faith you believe in, then moreover, the arts that you practice, the unique form of art forms. Then apart from that, what else you can include in this one? The cuisine that you eat, different kind of cuisine, different kind of food, and these all habits. So these all comes under the way of living. And this is what defines the culture. So these all behaviors of yours that you guys have written, all behaviors of yours, and how you ordain yourself in the society, that's what is the culture. Then moreover, not only these all things are the culture, but in fact, one thing which is very important about the culture is your identity. Then, so culture is your identity, culture is my identity, culture is people, those who are living in a particular area, their identity. When you go outside India, when you go to the different places, when you go to the different countries, then, so they identify you as an Indian. But Indian is a word, but what is there in their mind, that those Indian symbols, those Indian food, those Indian culture, aspects of the Indian culture is there in the mind, which is attached with the word Indian. So once a foreigner is greeting you with a namaste, so it means that they know the symbolic things in your culture, that how to greet. Then they ask you that you guys eat idli, dosa, dal, chawal. So they know that this is what is the cuisine of the Indian culture. Then that very popular cuisine of the Indian culture. Then they do buy saris. Then, and they also many a times they come to their own country, that India. These foreigners come to India, and then they buy Indian costumes only. So Indian costumes. So this is also the one of the manifestation of the culture. Same way, that religion. So often they associate that if you are from India, so generally he would be Hindu, then, or maximum a Muslim. So Hindu or Muslim. So this is also one of the that cultural association, okay? Cultural thing which get associated with the people of India. So on a broader level, you can say that culture of a particular region is the identity of the people. Then, so this is how you are defined. Moreover, the second part of the question is that how this culture we discussed, why this is important in your syllabus, or when you look at the syllabus of the art and culture, the very first thing which is mentioned in your syllabus is art and culture only. The GS paper 1 very first part is art and culture syllabus only. So can you tell me that why it is very important for an administrator to know the culture? What is the importance of this one? So you guys can send the answers of this second question which I have asked to you. So please send your responses. So many responses are there. I was not able to read all of them, and which is not possible also. But yes, I did get idea that you all guys know that what is culture. You have a good understanding that what is culture. So then second was what I asked, that why for you are aspiring to become an bureaucrat, you're aspiring to become a civil servant. So why you need to know culture? What is the importance of this subject? So let's see. To understand aspect of society better, to understand the notions of respective society, understand about us, integrity of our culture, to preserve the very essence of our tradition, because India is diversified, okay, Then what else? Very good. Who has sent? Prashant. It's quite right that what you have sent. Then Taruna, administrator, you also right. Yes, Divya, you are very right that what you have sent. People from different arenas to understand, to get know about the different cultures or knowing society behavior, to understand people culture, try to preserve their culture, so that administrator can handle any situation without offending societal values. Very good, Jayadev. This is what I was looking for. So Jayadev, Taruna, and one more, Prashant, your definitions were quite right. Without knowing society, culture cannot understand people mindset. We need to respect every culture. Gautami M. So Gautami, you are also very right. So he should take care the attachment of the people. I just want to, I would like to you guys to stop and just, did you saw that changed stance of the Shashi Tharoor on the Sabrimala temple? Did you saw that very recently Tharoor spoke on Sabrimala temple? So there are many such issues that we need to know today. So I got to know that many of you are very right that why it is important to know the culture. See, the utmost important thing in any society is to know about their culture. And when the knowingly or unknowingly, when you offend the culture of the people, so then there could not be any development. Then, and development would be the casualty, it would be the tragedy. So when you, until and unless you don't know about the culture of area, you cannot understand their needs, their grievances, their problems, then, and you will not be able to deliver anything to them, even if your intentions are good. So it doesn't matter intention good or not. What matters that first of all, you need to understand the culture of the people. And it's not like that always people know the culture and they have delivered right kind of things. Even the faults have been done by the highest body, judicial body in India, that is Supreme Court. So let's listen about the importance of culture. And so I have also changed my stance on Sabrimala. No, we don't need to change. I would just say that we don't need to change, but first of all, you need to understand what happens in the today's society, that in the name of the secularism, in the name of the equality, we are just ruining our culture. Then, and we are just ruining the important tenets which are there in the culture. Not all the places the equality is required. It's a kind of a pseudo concept that equality has become a pseudo word which people are trying to penetrate at each and every place. That's not right. That wherever the equality, empowerment is required, rather than emphasizing on those places, the attention is getting diverted into the sphere of the culture, and which is not good for a very long surviving society like India. Now, just listen few of the things. So, for example, I will give you simple examples at this place. So suppose that you guys are, many of you, this is a big class, and right now participants are 107. I hope that the overall people who must be seeing the classes, they must be 200. So you are from different parts of the country. You all guys are different parts of the country, but you cannot be sure that after selection you will get the cadre of your choice. So what if a person from Rajasthan, he is getting Tamil Nadu cadre, then he is getting Tamil Nadu cadre, and a person from Tamil Nadu, he is getting Uttar Pradesh cadre. Then, so the cadre gets changed. And when cadre gets changed, so then you are living over there. Suppose that Rajasthan guy in the Tamil Nadu, he don't know anything beyond Hindi, English, and maybe the Rajasthani regional language. So that particular administrator, or consider district magistrate. So district magistrate, how he will be performing in Tamil Nadu if he is not able to know the Tamil language? If he is not well versed in the Tamil language, he will not be understanding the feelings of the people, what they are trying to convey, what kind of suggestions they were giving, what kind of expectations are there. So until and unless you know their language, you will not be able to deliver anything, or any development program will not happen. It will be a casualty because you don't have the understanding of the culture. And one of the foremost feature of the culture is the language. So as such, UPSC makes a provision that once your training is done in the central academies like Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy or National Police Academy, Hyderabad. So after these all, you will be there in the regional or the state PCS administrative institutes, and there you will be taught in that particular language so that you can understand the feeling, emotions, expectations, grievances of the public of that area. When you don't know that what culture they follow, what is very revered thing in their culture, so then suppose that you don't know. One example I'll give you. There was this very famous festival of the Jallikattu in Tamil Nadu. And this Jallikattu festival, you know that it's a very close to the heart of the people of the Tamil Nadu. But somebody hyper activist, listen this, that there are so many hyper activists in world, not just in India, all over the world. It's an age of the hyper activist. And you know, they are more infectious than the corona then. So yes, you can see that. So this hyper activist, what they do, that they file a case in the Supreme Court, that you see that it is a cruelty against the animal. Animal is passing through. In Jallikattu, what happens that there is a narrow passage, and then that animal is kind of little bit of forced to pass through that narrow passage. When the animal is passing through the narrow passage, so what happens that the body of the bull touches the walls, both the sides, and then it gets little irritated. When it enters into the field, or when it enters into the open, so what happened? It is so irritated that game starts. It starts running after the people. So that's the provision. So then here, what they did, that these hyperactivists, they are filing the case in the Supreme Court, ki it is a cruelty against the animal, these all kind of things. So then Supreme Court also, that going by the letters of the justice, it pronounces a judgment and it says that this kind of festival must be banned. But there are, and many of you guys must have studied law, and you must be knowing better than me. I'm not an expert on law, but there is something called a spirit and there is something called letter. Then, so the justice must be in both the ways. It must be the letter also, it must be the spirit also. But many a times what happens that it is the spirit which is the casualty. So the judgment was pronounced, and after the judgment was pronounced, you know that there was huge uproar all over India, that particularly in the Tamil society. So huge uproar, nobody welcomed this move of the Supreme Court. Then in fact, many of the important personality from the Tamil society, what they did, that they protested against this one. For example, that Rajnikant, A.R. Rahman, they all said that this is not good because you are hurting the sentiments of the people. And moreover, the way it has been portrayed, that animal gets rugged with the walls, and then it is a cruelty against the animal. See that there are different contexts of a truth. There are different contexts of a truth. Let me say this thing. Many a times that when you were small, you were roughed by your parents. Sometimes you got a slap also. Does it mean that they did a cruelty against you? No. Not all the time it means that it was a cruelty against you. It's only in the modern age that these all kind of things have become, in the name of the human rights and in the name of the cruelty, anybody can portray it like anything. Then, so it was not a cruelty against animal, but yes, animal gets roughed little bit, but it's up to Supreme Court that what it read. Another example is the Sabarimala issue itself. Then, so Sabarimala issue itself, there is a tradition in the Sabarimala. You all know that the tradition and the custom, and it's a thing of just one temple. I have not, let me tell you that I opened what Tharoor was going to say, but I didn't listen to him because I was very confirm on what I think about this particular subject. So please don't get offended if I don't that second your opinion, or you are from the other side of the opinion. So I'm not here trying to indoctrinate anything, but I'm just telling you that how one must think. This is one such tradition in the culture whereby women who are in the menstrual cycle, they must not enter into the temple. And since that in the that Keralite culture and in this particular temple of the Sabarimala, Lord Ayappa was a brahmachari, and then it is said that as per the Hindu mythology and as per many scientific evidences, that it is considered as that during the time of the menstrual cycle, that women attract a huge amount of energy within their body. So they are abode of the energy. So according to the mythological concepts, that in this stage when women is more having more energy in her body, so she must not enter inside the temple. Then so that was the tradition. But in the name of the equality, people don't understand that some mythological concept which must be very closer to the heart of the people. So it's huge uproar happened, and it's not that political parties are like that only, that if it suits to one party, so it will utilize this particular incident in their own favor. But don't go by the politics, go by the cultural traditions. Culture doesn't changes instantly by the stroke of the law or by the midnight that court has given a judgment कि कल से ये change हो जाएगा. Just like that our Prime Minister did, that by the stroke of the night, 8 o'clock, that from tomorrow onwards there would be no 2,000 notes. There would be no 5,000 notes then, and it is all null and void. So see that it's not the way culture changes. You can change some policy decisions, then you can accept those policy decisions, it is up to you only. But culture doesn't changes overnight with the judgment of the Supreme Court. Then, and this was to be very well understood by the Supreme Court, that see, you cannot change culture. It's an evolutionary process. Culture, one area somebody wrote in this particular response screen, that with the repetition of a particular tradition, custom, norm, belief, it becomes the part of the culture. You wrote very well. I forgot your name, who has written this one. So culture, anything which is part of your culture, it doesn't happen overnight, and then it takes little bit of time. So बहुत सालों से, बहुत ज़्यादा सालों से वो चलती रहती है, and then it becomes the part of the culture. So that you change overnight, obviously it will hurt the sentiments of the people, and that is what has happened in the state of the Kerala. Even all the people who are in the fray of the elections, they are repenting this, and even at that point of time when decision was there, so most of the political parties, they knew the sentiments of the people and they were not in the favor of this decision then. But you know that we have become a country of the hyperactivist, and all over the world it is a phase of the hyperactivist. So that is one casualty. So the courts, higher courts and higher authorities, they need to realize that what is closer to the heart of the people then. And you cannot force something into somebody's mouth without their consensus or without that they brought into the agreement. I cannot force you any doctrine into your minds by just forceful that कि नहीं करना है, नहीं करोगे तो गोली मार देंगे. ऐसे नहीं होता है, ठीक है? You must be open to accept that thing, and then if it is given to you, if you are open to accept, so then obviously it is fine and fair. But when a large chunk of the people resistant against it, and then you are imposing a law, a program, a policy, so obviously the sentiments would be hurt. And I hope that you must be realizing many other things which are happening in the country. So I hope you got that why you need to know the culture. Okay? That is very important. Let's come to some examples of importance of culture. So some examples of importance of culture and real life examples I have quoted. Maybe some examples would be little bit of repetitive because बहुत सारे लोगों ने देख रखा होगा मेरे पुराने videos, and that's what happens. क्लासरूम प्रोग्राम में तो यही होता था कि कुछ लोगों ने पुराने वीडियोस किसी फ्रेंड से ले लिए, देख लिए पहली क्लास की, एंड पहली क्लास में आके देन आगे बोलना. It doesn't impresses me then, so I know, but I cannot change the examples which are rightly going to define the importance of the culture. So let's have a discussion on this, some examples, that why as an administrator you need to know the culture of India. So first of all, very first example I'll give you from 2002, and you must be aware that in 2002 there was a severe earthquake in the Bhuj Anjar area of the Gujarat. Then, so Bhuj Anjar area of the Gujarat, and in this severe earthquake, you know that tens and thousands of the people, they died in this earthquake, and it was quite unexpected that in this area there would be earthquake. So what happened? 2002 India is quite different from the 2021 India, and we were still the lower rung developing countries, means that we were quite poor. We cannot say ourselves that we were a kind of that society which comes under the lower middle class. Even we were lesser than the lower middle class. So we were a poor country, and moreover, that was also the last year of the Vajpayee's government. In 1998, the Pokhran Parmanu Parikshan, the Pokhran nuclear test has happened. After that, so many sanctions were there on India. So India was going through so many problems. Though in the last years, particularly from 2000 onwards, USA diluted some of the sanctions, and it's not because that US was kind of that becoming all of a sudden becoming very closer to India. It's because that there was a personal chemistry between the Bill Clinton and Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So this personal chemistry worked, and moreover that Bill Clinton was quite open to India. He came to India. He celebrated many that one of the festival Holi here in Jaipur. So after that incident, some of the sanctions were diluted. So when this particular earthquake happened, so you know that we needed some aid, and aid from outside India. Then so aid from outside India, and US was one of the biggest aid provider to India at that point of time. So US was one of the biggest aid provider, and you know that when earthquake like situation is there, so those people who have survived, what are their basic demands? They must be getting the food, they must be getting the clean drinking water, they must be getting the medicines, and they must be getting the shelter. For a few months, this would be the only demand from the people, that food, medicine, water, and then a kind of a safe shelter. So this is what was the demand of the people. And at that point of time, US was helping India, because so many US choppers, US helicopters filled with the food material, water and everything, they were dropping it from the skies. Then wherever people were collected, so they were dropping it from the skies. What happened? Within a week or so, people started refusing the food aid which was provided by the US, and they were throwing it. Then they were throwing it. The food which was provided by the US, they were throwing it. Water, they were throwing it. Medicine, they were throwing it. And then moreover, they became so angry that there were protests against the government of the day, and then also the US. You know what was the issue? Issue was cultural misunderstanding. What is this cultural misunderstanding? You know about the state of the Gujarat. State of the Gujarat, when it comes to it's a dry state, you know that. And moreover, it's a state which is the state of the Lord Krishna, Somnath, Dwarka, then Nageshwar. So it was the state of the Dwarkadhis. Moreover, from the long time, Gujarat has gone into a tradition where majority of the Hindus, when you talk about the Hindus, so they are vegetarians, then Vaishnav. Vaishnav means that those who follow the Vishnu tradition, Krishna tradition. So they are Vaishnav, and majority of them are the Hindus. Then, so this Vaishnav, Hindus and vegetarian. So they don't eat non-veg food. But what is this cultural misunderstanding? That US was delivering in this packet non-vegetarian food. That even non-vegetarian would have been okay, because Gujarat also has a good chunk of the Muslim population. Okay? So they could have spared this thing. But what happened, that all the food packets were non-vegetarian, and moreover, the non-veg which was there in the food packets, that was beef, which is anti to the most anti to the Vaishnavas of the Gujarat. So obviously, when it comes to the culture, people say, many of times, people say that we will better like to die rather than breaking our culture, or rather than breaking our religion, rather than breaking our customs. Then, so this is what happens, and then they started protesting. So whose fault is that? It's not just the US fault, but it is fault of the Indian officers also. And who are these officers? Indian civil servants also. So Indian civil servants, they need to make it clear to the US authorities that what they would be delivering in the food packets and what is culturally accepted in this country. So this is one of the mistake, and this is mistake from the side of the US also. They must have inquired that what goes into the culture of India, what goes into the culture of Gujarat, not just India. India is a diverse country. And if this would have happened in the state of Kerala or West Bengal, it would not have been big issue. Then, because there is an acceptance towards the non-vegetarian food, and then also beef also. So there is an acceptance towards this, but that's not accepted in the Gujarat. So it is a it is a diverse country, multicultural country. So then US needed to ensure that what is the culture of Gujarat, and Indian officials, they also needed to inform them the same. That's one instance. Then second instance, second instance, let me give you the second instance from the state of Bihar. It is this is information from 2014. No, sorry, 1997, not 14, 1997. And you know, state of Bihar is often known for that one of the severest flood of the country. Nowadays, you have seen that last year in 2000, I think that in 2018 there was a severe flood in Kerala, and which has broken so many records. Last year, when this pandemic started, at this point of time, there was a severe flood in the Kaziranga National Park, Assam. So these are some of the instances. Once it happened in Ladakh also, once it happened in the Jaipur also, which is that normally Jaipur is a dry area, but here also flood happened 2-3 years back. But the one area in India where recurrent flood is there, that is Bihar. In fact, people of Bihar know it, that this is the time floods will come. I will have to make myself to a safer destination. So they know it very well. So in 1997, there was a severe flood. And you know, in Bihar, there is this river, which rather than bringing joy to the state of the Bihar, brings sorrow. And it is called as the sorrow of the Bihar, and name of the river is the Kosi. And Kosi has 7 branches, all of them are heavily flooded. So 1997 was the severe flood, and more than 1,000 villages were drowned in this particular flood. So, you know, in this kind of situation, there is a one specialized force of Government of India, that is NDRF, National Disaster Risk Force. So, Rescue Force. So, that NDRF personnel, and then one of the finest forces or finest cadres in India, which are known for their job. So they were rescuing the people, and they rescued good number of people from all the villages through choppers, boats, and these all, whatever was there at their expense, they used it very well. Now all the people, they were stationed to a dry place, and then more than 1,000 villages. Obviously, nobody would be knowing each other. So these all people are stationed at one dry shelter. Now the government is providing all the food, aid, medicine, whatever that is, essentials which are required by the people. And in flooded areas, the situation is more grim than the earthquake area, because here there is still a possibility of the waterborne diseases. Then, so medicines are much in demand, and clean water is always the first priority. Then, apart from that, the food, clean food, and then hygienic food. So these are the essential demands. So people from 1,000 villages stationed at one place, it's all going fine. I will not say fine, but it's all going on. What happened after some point of time, there was one very bizarre kind of demand, particularly the women of these shelter houses, they started to demand this commodity. And everybody was surprised at that point of time that why the hell this demand is there? Why these people are demanding this particular commodity which has no relevance to this flood situation. And I will not ask you that what was that particular one. So what is that particular one? I'm not asking. Some of you must be knowing. You may send in the response screen, but don't do that. Let's make it a little bit dramatic. So, so this very bizarre demand, everybody was surprised. And looking at the Bihar, people started to say that they must be demanding alcohol, they must be demanding litti chokha, they must be demanding tobacco, these all kind of things. But this was not. Since it was demanded by the women, so it must be some commodity associated with the women, and it was a bizarre because it was not expected. So the commodity was, you'll be surprised to know, those who don't know, those who know, they will not be surprised, but those who don't know, they may be surprised. It was sindoor. Then, so ek chutki sindoor. Now you need to understand that ek chutki sindoor ki कीमत तुम क्या जानो, civil servant Babu. So then, so why they were demanding this sindoor? first of all, it is one of the very important symbol in the Indian culture. One very important symbol in the Indian culture, in fact, that in the rural areas of India, women don't venture out without having a sindoor on their forehead if they are married. Then, so it's a symbol of they are married. So if in any case they are married, then so they will have to put it on their forehead, and if they are not putting it on forehead, so then there would be so many talks then, so there will be so many talks in the society. But what was the problem over here? Listen, it's a very dynamic thing which was happening over here. Not only the women who were married, they wanted sindoor, but in fact, all those women who were there in the shelter houses, they wanted sindoor. Even if they are widows, even if they are unmarried girls, they all wanted sindoor. So why this situation arose? The situation was that it's a place where people from unknown places are living. And moreover, you know that in human society, the society in which we live, there will always be people who have a different kind of orientation when it comes to the women. Then so different kind of orientation, and I hope you're understanding, lascivious people, the people who always ingrained with the lust, then even in a situation, grim situation like the flood, only thing that they were looking at the opportunity to sexually harass women. Then so sexually harass women. So now these jhund of the, yes, that's what is the Hindi word I will use, that jhund and the group of this particular men whom you call, so they were moving from one gully to another gully to look at that which woman is suitable, we can harass this women, rape that women, sexually exploit that women. And what they were doing, that they were targeting those women, that they were seeing that forehead of the women, not married, okay, opportunity hai. Then a woman wearing a sari, no, nothing on the forehead, widow hai, there is an opportunity. So they were just targeting those women whom they believed that their husbands are not alive, or they are the orphans, there is nobody to take care of them. So they started exploiting these women, coercing these women, and that's how these women decided that first they complained to the authorities. When the authorities' hands were tied, and it was a flood situation, and 1997 Bihar is not like the 2021 Bihar. So even if Prashasan, that is what we call administration, wants to give little bit of protection to the women, it cannot give because 1,000 village and so many people. So it was neglected. So women at their own, they decided that what we need to do, that let the Prashasan, let the administration do their own job. What we need to do, we will be putting the sindoor on our forehead, so that a message will go to these men that we are married and our husbands are still alive, so they don't have chance. See that how disgusting this episode is. But on the other hand, you can see, एक चुटकी सिंदूर की कीमत, तुम क्या जानो, civil servant babu. So this is what is one importance of the cultural symbols in the, not just the Indian society, but in many societies. Then, so I hope you understood this part. Let's talk about one more example. So let's talk about that one more example. And so, yes, so sad. Yes, Taruna, it is so sad about our society and so sad about many other societies that this is what happens then. And, you know, nowadays the advertisements are made in this way, men would be men. Then, but this is not, we call men would be men. It's not just men has many things to prove when they want to be called as men. This is not what I call men. This is what we call that devil's work then, and not just the devils, but these type of people, they don't deserve place on the planet Earth. But you know, you will be reading later on the spirit of good and spirit of bad. I will be teaching these all kind of things, spirit of good and spirit of bad. So this is one irony that it would be there until and unless there would be a human society. So these kind of people would be there and there would be challenges and we will have to face those challenges. Now, another thing, that another example, I said to you, somebody said that culture also changes. So one example of the culture, that not always culture remains to be static. culture is always a changing thing, and this change happens in an evolutionary process. So let me write that what is this evolutionary process of change in culture. So culture is an evolutionary process, and you know why I am emphasizing on this word evolution, because evolution is a slow process, बहुत धीरे होता है, अचानक से नहीं होता है, ठीक है? So evolution is a slow process. Culture is also the same manifestation, that it happens in a slow way, slow and gradual way. So it is an evolutionary process, and moreover, the culture which was there 1,000 years before, it is not the exactly same at this point of time. So culture changes also, but in slow fashion. So it changes also. So moreover, one new, as I said, that culture is the identity of the people. Then, but one new evolving identity of the Indians. Let's talk about this. New evolving identity of Indians. So new evolving identity of Indians, and again, I will be quoting from my favorite politician. Yes, I do accept this thing, my favorite politician. I do appreciate him, and I do appreciate that what he has written, Shashi Tharoor. So there is one very popular book of the Tharoor, and I hope when you will be preparing for the international relations, so you must be going through some of the chapters of this particular book, that is Pax Indica. So you must go through, very beautifully written on the international relations in India, because Tharoor has worked in the United Nations. So he did had good experience about this one. So what Tharoor has written, he has written one instance about this evolving identity in this book only, and that was the case of the Netherlands then. So he was there at the Amsterdam airport, and since his flight was delayed, or maybe there was a little bit of time to catch the flight, so he was in the lobby, and he was working in the lobby on his laptop. Continuously he was working on his laptop. Then all of a sudden one Dutch person came closer to him, and then he said that, looking at him, "I know you are an Indian, please fix my laptop." So then Tharoor was surprised. Why so? An Indian could be, I am an Indian, but how come you thought that I would be fixing your laptop? So then he said that, "I know Indians outside India, they are software engineers." So this is what is one evolving identity of the Indians, that Indians outside India, particularly in the Europe and particularly in the USA, they are considered as software engineers. And you have some examples of this evolving identity. Sundar Pichai, then Satya Nadella. They are the heads of the greatest of the organizations related to the software industry. So we are known with this particular new evolving identity of the India, that is the Indians are good in IT, Indians are software engineers. And how many software engineers are there in this class? They are just responding. वो भी सिविल सर्विसेज की तैयारी. So कोई बात नहीं, अब तो करनी पड़ेगी क्योंकि बाहर जाने का स्कोप थोड़ा कम है. So many of you must be relating, and there I hope that many of you must be the software engineers. Then, so this is, I hope you understood that what is overall importance of this culture, and then moreover why you need to know, why it is important for you. Moreover, when you know about the culture, I hope you must have read in the society classes, Smriti ma'am must have taught you many things related to the culture and globalization, culture and elderly people, culture and these all. So please incorporate that part in the first discussion also. For example, that culture also induces, or it kind of that affects the market behavior. For example, let me tell you that related to the culture only. You know, in China, that in India, one of the greatest festival, one of the quite celebrated and quite noisy festival, it's not Holi. Holi is a noisy festival on the level of the human behavior. But one noisy festival is the Diwali also. And you all must have, in your homes, you must have used those Chinese lights. That Chinese lights, they are used in the Diwali occasion in India, even till this point of times, because they are cheaper than, and they are much better than, they give you kind of that feeling that mera ghar bahut acha dikh raha hai aaj ke din. So what is this? Diwali is the part of the Indian culture, but it has motivated a market in the China then, and it has induced a behavior in the China that they would be manufacturing these lights, rice lights and Chinese lights, and these lights would be sold in India. So culture is also inducing the market. Then another thing, why culture is important then? So let's listen to this all. You know, in last year when this pandemic started, and in this pandemic, our economy was in tatters. Still it is in the tatters. Then there are many factors behind that, but let's talk about the pandemic only. One of the factors that many people postponed their marriages. You know, and many of you in your families also, many people must have postponed their marriages. Then so many people postponed their marriages, and those who went with their marriages, it was a very low scale marriage. ठीक है, बहुत छोटे level पे. Meaning that there was no so much of pomp and show, there was no so much of spending, and there was no so much of that expenditure in the market. You see that marriage is the part of any culture. Then, and in Indian culture, when you see the Indian marriages, so they are so pompous. Then, and it generates a kind of a very happy feeling among the people, those who are in that particular family. So there is a collective preparation from 50-60 people that सब लोग तैयारी कर रहे हैं, घर में शादी है, घर में शादी है. So one is that it induces the pleasant behavior in the family. At the same point of time, everybody is buying a stuff for themselves. So when you are buying a stuff, suppose I am buying a one such shirt for myself, so I have given benefit to that shopkeeper also. Then at the same point of time, that shopkeeper has passed that benefit to the person who has manufactured that particular cloth, and then that has passed to the cotton cultivator also. So it is the culture and many such rituals of the culture which generates market activity. And what this corona did, that it affected this market of the culture also. So this market of the culture also, let's talk about the death also. Not why not, if marriage, so why not death? Even the death in the Indian scenario, it is a kind of a expensive affair. And you know that at the time of the death, so many people participate. They go to the graveyards, then the last rituals happen. There is a 13-day observation, then 10-day observation, 13-day observation, some places 16-day observation, and entire village is fed on the 13th day. Then that all the people from the society and then nearby areas, they are fed. Then also the Brahmins are given some kind of gift, and then also those people from the Hazam community, they are also paid some kind of gifts, and so many people do get some kind of stuff in this death also. So this is a ritual part of the culture, but induces it further increases the market activity and gives something to somebody. So culture has a wide and extensive effect on everything in the society. And particularly when we talk about that, those all rituals in the Indian society, they have many kind of functions. And let's tell, how many of you have sociology optional, and those who have started? You must have read about that latent and manifest functions. I'm just quoting this thing since not many of you are from the that going to opt for the sociology optional, but those who would be reading sociology optional, please remember my words, latent and manifest functions of the Indian culture, latent and manifest functions of the Indian marriages, latent and manifest functions of those all rituals which happened in the Indian society. So now I hope that you are understanding it is the most important thing to know. And see, I'm not trying to make out in this class that culture ही सबसे important है जिसको पढ़ के exam clear हो जाएगा. No, I'm not saying about the exam कि exam में कितने question आएंगे उसको समझ के तुम्हारा क्या होगा. I'm saying that this is what you need to know when you want to become a very good administrator, and the person who is sensitive enough to know the feelings of the people and then norms in the society, customs in the society. So that's how which will make you an effective administrator. Wish you best of luck. Let's start with the syllabus. So much of discussion today in today's class. And again I'm saying this thing that I was not at all knowing that it was the very first class. I thought that it is in RB 8, 9 today's class, and there was class number 11. So in RB 89, so I thought that कि उसमें आज Buddhism पढ़ाना है. And all of a sudden when I saw that Laltendu's name and then one more name, so then I thought that कि class कुछ गड़बड़ है क्या? And then I asked to the people that कि कौन सी class है. So चलो. So now, what all things we are going to read in the culture topic, ठीक है? क्या क्या पढ़ने वाले हैं हम लोग कल्चर में, और दूसरा उसके अलावा क्या क्या पढ़ने वाले हैं, हाउ मेनी क्लासेस वुड बी देयर इन दिस कल्चर टॉपिक, ठीक है? सो लेट मी राइट दोज ऑल टॉपिक्स विच वी आर गोइंग टू सी इन द कल्चर. So I'm writing these all chapters. The first chapter that we would be studying, architecture and sculpture. Architecture and sculpture. Then second would be religion and philosophy. Third, classical dances. Fourth, classical music. Fifth, language and literature. Sixth, painting. So next chapter after painting, seventh, theaters and Bhakti Sufi movement. So these are the chapters that we are going to see in art and culture. So these are the chapters that we'll see. And then moreover, let me assign the number of the classes. See, earlier when there was offline class only, so there is a little bit of change because जब offline होता था, so उस time पे modern used to end in 22 classes. Now it has taken 25 in your batch, I remember well. So 25, so 3 बढ़े हैं उसमें. So that's because of the online thing. And in each and every subject, it is like that only. So here also, earlier culture used to get completed in 13 classes. Maybe इसमें एक या 2 extra class लग सकती है. So अभी हम मान के चलते हैं 14 classes में culture over हो जाएगा. So this is the near about 45% of the culture syllabus. This architecture and sculpture. So this will take in already there are 4 batches in which culture has happened. So इसमें कम से कम 6 classes, 6 classes. Earlier it used to take only 5 classes, but I'm keeping it that 6 classes. ठीक है? So 6 classes, religion and philosophy 2.5 classes. So this is 8.5 classes, 1 for this, 1 for this, 1.5 for this. So this is total 9, this is 10, 11, 12 and 13. 1 for these two. Both combined 1. So 13. So this is what is the total number of the classes that I am expecting in this particular section, but 1 more classes can be there. ठीक है? एक और extra हो सकता है. That we will see in time that होगा कि नहीं होगा. अगर जो 13 में complete हो गया, so then it's so good. Then this architecture and sculpture, since it is the very big chapter, it starts from the ancient and goes till the British times. Then religion and philosophy. Here, what all things we will be reading, that Buddhism, Jainism, and then also the philosophies. Then so heterodox and orthodox philosophies. Moreover, again I will say this word if I have uttered this earlier also. So I have not seen a UPSC paper without any question on the Buddhism. So if UPSC conduct of a UPSC exam is a fact, so then there would be a question from the Buddhism is also a fact. So one such portion which is very important, and then you can always expect from question from this one, that is Buddhism and Jainism. Then when you get, suppose that you get 6 questions from culture in the prelims examination. So obviously 3 would be there from this particular chapter. And then rest of the 3 would be from these all chapters. So classical dances, last how many years? So right from 2011 and 2020, they have asked 5 questions from this section, classical dances. Then 3 questions from the classical music. Language and literature, it holds importance in both the stages of the exam. So 2 times from 2013 onwards, 2 times they have asked, 3 times they have asked question in the mains examination, and then 3 times they have asked in the prelims examination. So it is equally important in the prelims and mains. Painting also, this section, it's equally important in both the stages. So they have asked 3 to 4 questions in the prelims examination in last 7 years, and then 2 questions in the mains examination in last 7-8 years. Then theatre also, in last 5 years there was just 1 question from the theatre, but it's an easy section, 10-15 मिनट में हो जाता है, उससे बड़ा नहीं है. And then Bhakti Sufi, it's a quite repetitive section. Then, so not only in the prelim stage of the exam, but also in the main stage of exam, they repeatedly, very in a recurrent fashion, they do ask question from the Bhakti and Sufi. So today we are going to start with the very first chapter, that is architecture and sculpture. And in architecture and sculpture, what is most important at this point of time to know the chronology and the way that we are going to proceed in this topic. Moreover, I just asked to the management that what all things you have studied in your ancient classes, now it has been taken by the Wasim sir. So I have seen that what he has taught you. So accordingly, in some of the chapters, that for example, when I talk about the Indus Valley civilization, so what sir has taught you, that part I will leave. What he has not taught, maybe some places which is of cultural importance, so maybe he has left. So then I'll see, just in the break, I will see that what he has taught and what he has not taught. So accordingly, I will include the things in the particularly Indus Valley civilization. उसके बाद in कोई relation नहीं है ancient का और what you are going to read in the culture. ठीक है? So only in the Indus Valley civilization there is a little bit of overlap. Then, so let's begin with the architecture and sculpture. And here, as I said to you, most important is to create this classification chart and then how we are going to proceed in this section. So give me time. I hope you must have noted, but this is not something you must be noting down. I was just giving you idea that how we are going to proceed in this section. So architecture and sculpture is our topic. And now this period you will be reading same in art and culture class and now. Yes, good. Sir must have told you that, sir, and in fact that I know that what sir must have taught you. So that's why I was saying this thing to you, that both the sections will complement. What happens that when I have taught ancient and medieval, so उसमें मुझे पता होता है कि मैंने क्या तुमको ancient में पढ़ाया है, क्या medieval में पढ़ाया है. Then and what I would be teaching you in art and culture. But in that case, sir has taught you. So I just needed to see that synopsis of the class, that in last 5 classes, I think that 5 classes have happened. So 5 क्लास में जो पढ़ाया है मेरे पास synopsis है. I will see and then accordingly I will moderate the things in the art and culture. So now listen. So we will divide this into the 3 periods: ancient, medieval, and then modern. Modern here, British, not the one which is we are going through. Uh, so first you write ancient, and in ancient, what all topics we are going to incorporate here. So the very first one would be the Indus Valley civilization. So the architectural things related to Indus Valley civilization. Then architectural things related to Indus Valley civilization. Then Maurya art. Second topic would be the Maurya art. Then third topic in the ancient would be post-Maurya art. Post-Maurya art. And third topic would be the fourth topic would be the Gupta art. And the last in the ancient would be South Indian art. So these would be the topics that we'll be seeing in the ancient. So how many classes? I think that 5 classes of art in ancient medieval has happened in your batch. I hope. Then so South Indian art. So these all are the things which we are going to see in this particular part of the ancient. Now, let me tell you that what is the emphasis or highlight of it and every period. For example, it is only the Indus Valley civilization where you have read few things in the ancient classes, but let me tell you, when it comes to the architectural and art form highlight of the Indus Valley civilization, there are so many, but when I talk about highlights, so there are 2. One is the town planning. So highlight is town planning and seals. Then so town planning and seals. When it comes to the Maurya art, so Maurya art highlight is the stupa. But we will be reading some others also. I'm just telling you highlight. So highlight of this is the stupa. Post Maurya art, highlight is the sculpture. Highlight is a sculpture. And Gupta art, highlight is temple. And South Indian art, highlight is temple. But there are many other things also which we will be reading, but I'm just writing the highlight of these all period. So these all are the highlight, means that most important architectural features of this period. Then let's come to the, after the ancient, we need to write about the medieval period. I hope you have written this part. So let me mention medieval. And medieval को हम Indo-Islamic art बोलते हैं. So we do call medieval as Indo-Islamic art. Indo-Islamic art, but in the medieval you have 2 phases. One phase dedicated to the Delhi Sultanate, another phase dedicated to the Mughals. So let's divide this into the 2 phases. So, and there would be further division in this also. That once I'm writing Delhi Sultanate, so Delhi Sultanate may be, so let's write here that one part. Delhi Sultanate. Delhi Sultanate. Now, Delhi Sultanate is further to be divided into 2 parts. It's further divided into 2 parts. So first part would be imperial, and second would be provincial. So imperial and provincial. I will define the meaning of this one, that what do I mean by the imperial and provincial, but first you complete the chart, this classification. So in imperial, how we are going to proceed? Slave art, Khilji art, Tughlaq art. Though it is a shame to call what was developed by the Tughlaqs as a art, but let's write, for the time being, let's write that it was a art, but art ke naam pe dhabba tha, Tughlaq period. Then you write Sayyid art, and the last one, Lodi art. So slave art, Khilji art, Tughlaq art, Sayyid art, and Lodi art. Then let's come to the provincial. So in the provincial, there are 4: Bengal art, Jaunpur art, then Malwa art, and then last one, Bijapur art. So please write. Abhi itna likho. I will explain that what is imperial and what is provincial. This classification is important, but because it may happen that later on when you are reading these all subtopics and further elaboration is there, so you may get confused that kaun sa kahan padh rahe hain, sequence kahan hai, and in which chronology you are moving ahead. So for example, when we wrote Indo-Islamic architecture and particularly the imperial and provincial. So imperial ka matlab ye hai, it means that the art forms which were developed by the Delhi Sultans, not by the any other people, but directly by the Delhi Sultans, that is the imperial art. Meaning the art which is emerging under the Delhi Sultanate is imperial art. Moreover, what is provincial? So provincial का मतलब यहाँ पे ये है that the art form which was developed by the provincial governors under the Delhi Sultanate. Then so it is little different from these provincial arts would be little different from what has been developed over here. So in the province of Bengal, what kind of art was developing? In the area of the Jaunpur, Malwa and Bijapur, what kind of art was developing? That's what we need to know at this place. Okay? So this is about the Delhi Sultanate. Then I will write the timeline also if you want, but later on, abhi pehle itna likho. And then let's come to the next part, Mughal. So here, just 1 minute. Give me a minute's time. So this place you can write Mughal period, or here you must write Delhi Sultanate period, because यहाँ पे history नहीं पढ़ रहे हैं, यहाँ पे architecture पढ़ रहे हैं, so art पढ़ रहे हैं, so Mughal period. And Mughal period, further it can be divided into exactly like what we have done here. So इसमें यहाँ लिख सकते हैं imperial, meaning the architectural initiatives taken by the Mughal emperors. Then so that would be imperial. And provincial. So the contemporary people of the Mughals in the provinces. So in imperial, you know that Mughal just ek dynasty. Okay? Here there are so many dynasties, but Mughal are just one dynasty. So meaning that here we will be talking about the initiatives of the Mughal rulers. So the very first ruler that you would be mentioning, it is the Akbar's period. So Akbar's Akbar's period, then Jahangir's period, climax at Shah Jahan's period, and then last one would be the Aurangzeb, though nothing happened at his point of time, but we need to know that what he did. Then, so Aurangzeb's period. So art development during these all period. And the contemporary of the Mughal who also developed some kind of architecture, beautiful architecture. So the first one would be the Sikh people, Sikh architecture. And then the second, one of the finest and the most beautiful things that has happened to the Indian subcontinent, that is the Rajput architecture. So Rajput architecture. And without the Rajput architecture, we would have been poorer in the terms of the architecture. Though the Mughal architecture is equally important, I will not say that Delhi Sultanate architecture is more important. The most important thing as far as the architecture is concerned, architecture of India is concerned, in the medieval period, that is the Mughal architecture and Rajput architecture. Okay? So this is all about the Mughal period. And the last one is the British period. We'll see that what we are going to read in the British period. Please write it quickly. Then let's mention about the, I hope you have written this part. Of last part I will mention. Here I'm writing modern, but here modern from the sense of the British period. So there are two things which I will be mentioning over here. Modern में British and regional. British and regional. When it comes to the British, so there are two types of architecture styles in the British period. Indo-Gothic architecture, Indo-Gothic architecture, and the second one would be the Neo-Roman architecture. Neo-Roman architecture. So there would be two styles in the British, that is Indo-Gothic and Neo-Roman. And in regional, there is only one which we are going to read, that is the Awadh architecture. So these are the topics that we are going to see. So now, very quickly, I will write the period of these all. So I hope you are writing this part. Just give me a little bit of time. Quickly, very quickly, I will write those periods. Then, so when it comes to Indus Valley Civilization, overall development from 2600 to 1800 BC. Then Maurya art starting from 300 to 185 BC. In this period, what all developed. Then in this one, you can mention post-Maurya, 200 BC to 200 AD. Gupta, 320 to 550 AD. South Indian 600 to 1700 AD. 600 to 1700 AD. Then Delhi Sultanate. Some of you may understand this 1600. It is 600 to 1700 AD. And Delhi Sultanate we can write roughly over here only. There is no need of further classification here. You must have done at the other places also. So Delhi Sultanate, it is from 1206 to 1526. Then या चाहो तो मैं लिख भी दूं 1206 to 1290. I hope that these all things you must have written in the ancient, but chalo, I will write. No issues. I will write over here also. Space थोड़ा कम हो जा रहा है. Let me just increase the space of this one. I will have to write slow. 1290. Then 1290 to 1320 is Khilji. Tughlaq 1320 to 1414. Sayyid 1414 to 1451. Lodhi 1451 to 1526. And isme roughly you can go with that. There is no separate classification. 1206 to 1526 overall. Then Mughal. So Mughal also you write here only that 1526 to 1707. These all developments, everything would be in this bracket. And then after Mughal, modern, we can say that 1750 onwards till 1950s. Okay? So this is overall time bracket of the development of this kind of architecture. So I hope that many things would not be visible. So I will make it small, and now you can see that what all things I have written. So accordingly you can write. Dikh raha hai? I hope so. So please mention quickly. So I hope it is done, most of you. I was just looking at this. लिख लिया? Written. Chalo. So rest of the things I will start after 10 minutes. So I'm giving you a break little early here. After 10 minutes, we will start with the Indus Valley Civilization. And I'm giving you a break because I just need to look at that what Wasim sir has taught you in the Indus Valley Civilization. So though I would be incorporating everything that I do in all the other classes, but I just want to have a look at what sir has incorporated into your classes. Okay? So give me this 10-minute time and then we will start with the Indus Valley Civilization. So let's begin with I have seen that what sir has taught. So definitely it's not related to the culture part. He has mentioned 1 or 2 parts. It's not a 15-minute break. It's just 10 minutes. So as I said to you, so now onwards there would be no 15-minute break. That used to be earlier. But since there is no time, so the classes may go longer also if there is no second class, and if there is only one class in a day, so then it may go a little longer also, and then breaks would be shortened. So I have seen that what sir has taught. Sir has stick to the historical details only, and those different aspects of the polity, economy, society. Then so these all things sir has discussed, and then different phases of the Indus Valley Civilization sir has discussed. So it's good. So I don't need to cut any of the information in the art and culture part which I needed to deliver in this section. ठीक है? Yes, there is a one part which sir has mentioned related to the archaeologist, but that would be repetitive here also. So I will repeat some places. It may seem to you that no, I was not talking about you guys, Mansi, 3 classes in a day. I was talking about myself. I know you guys are poor soul, then, but I was talking about myself. That if I do have another class from 5 o'clock, so then it means that classes we cannot extend little bit more. So today, in fact, every day this is the same, that whichever is the first class, there is no scope of extending that class. Yes, the second class of mine, which is from 5 to 8, so there I can extend. But if you guys would have been 5 to 10, so then 5 to 8, not 10. So then I could have extended. So I know that you guys are poor soul and then you have 3 classes, 2 classes. ये अच्छा फेज है ना, बाहर दुनिया में कोरोना है, ठीक है, तो घर में रहो ना, that's what is good. So let's begin with the Indus Valley civilization. ये इतना छोटा क्यों चल रहा है? So Indus Valley civilization. And historical aspects you have read. Now listen to the other things related to Indus Valley civilization. So the very first site, you know that very first site of the Indus Valley civilization which was discovered, it was the Harappa in 1921, and it was discovered by Dayaram Sahni. And these names you have written. Then the second site which was discovered was the site of the Mohenjo-daro by Rakhaldas Banerjee, R.D. Banerjee in 1922. So when it comes to this Indus Valley civilization, it is very surprising that we came to know about this civilization only in 1920s, then only in 1920s, but there is a story which goes back to 1870s then. So which goes back to 1870s, listen. That you know that first railway line in India, it was let down between Bombay to Thane, 34 kilometers, 1853. So Britishers wanted to connect all the important ports of India with the mainstream cities. So there was one important port and the one important city which was to be connected through railway line, that was Lahore to Karachi port. So there was this development of the railway lines between Lahore to Karachi port, and during the excavation process, not excavation, but during the laying down of the railway tracks in the Montgomery district of the Pakistan, which is in right now in Punjab area of the Pakistan. So the people who were laying down the railway lines, they reported something unexpected over here, and they said that we think that there must be some civilizational aspect lying down over here in this Montgomery district of the Pakistan. At that point of time, Archaeological Survey of India, he was the first head of the Archaeological Survey of India, Alexander Cunningham. So 1861, this organization came to picture, Archaeological Survey of India, and Alexander Cunningham was the first chairman. Though he wanted to go ahead with the excavation, but that point of time resources were not enough, and then he was not given so much of power that he himself can initiate this process. So though he wanted, this particular excavation process did not started. But you know, since already by the time that in the circles of the Britishers, there was this discussion that in India, in Indian subcontinent, there is an underlying civilization. In 1920s, around 1920s, there was this Archaeological Survey of India head. His name was John Marshall. And John Marshall, he decided that this is the time that I will go with the excavation. And moreover, there is one such feeling which people do associate with themselves, that if I go with the excavation and what if I find something interesting, so my name would be written in the golden letters in the history. And that's always there with the human behavior. I will also feel like the same, that if I do something in this world right now and then it leads to the fame of mine, so my name would be permanently written in the history. So then with this thought, he initiated this process of the excavation of the Harappan Indus Valley civilization sites, and he interested the task of excavating the sites to two Indians, and these Indians were Dayaram Sahni and Rakhaldas Banerjee. So Dayaram Sahni, he discovered Harappa, he excavated Harappa, and Rakhaldas Banerjee excavated Mohenjo-daro. So these two were the first and most important sites of the Indus Valley civilization. Then, so with the excavation of these two sites, there was all of a sudden there was a change of attitude in the Britishers, and moreover that there was change in the information also. So till this point of time, listen, till this point of time, it is the civilization of the Mesopotamia which was considered as the most advanced civilization in the world. So Mesopotamian civilization was considered as most advanced, equally was the Egyptian civilization. But with the information available about the Indian civilization, that is the Indus Valley civilization, so it was said by the Britishers, it was commented by the Britishers that Indus Valley civilization is the most advanced civilization in the world. These are the same Britishers, they are the same lot who earlier said that, if you remember the words of the Cornwallis, what he said, that every native of Hindustan is corrupt. Then, so every native of Hindustan is corrupt, and he went on to say that Indians are white man's burden. We are here in India to civilize them. Then, so we are on a civilization method, and then we are here to civilize the Indians. Such was the scenario when Britishers started ruling us. So they commented in many ways to demean us, and they are the same Britishers in 1920s who are saying that no, it was the most advanced civilization of the world. So it was a moment of a pride for the Indians that we were the most advanced civilization of the world. But my question to you, what is that which makes Indus Valley civilization most advanced? Please reply in the response screen. What is that which makes Indus Valley civilization most advanced civilization in the world? I will quote one more thing. While I'm looking at the response screen, I have asked this question, let me be very clear, to have 2 or 3 sips of the tea. So, please. Now the first question, urban town planning. Yes, go ahead. First urbanization. No, it's not first urbanization. Urban town planning, somehow it's correct. Drainage system, urban town planning, they are very much radical. Radical? Oh my God. Radical is a different word. Radial, if you could have written, not radical. Then infrastructure, town planning, double-story buildings, town planning, trade, town planning, urbanization, town planning, urbanization, right angle street, drainage system, dockyard, okay. Then what else? Rational urban settlement, okay. Many of you, town planning, drainage pattern, communication, port, seals, artifacts, grade bar, drainage system, definitely. Let me ask the second question. Now, you all seem to be similar in your answers, and radial, yes Shivam, I got that. Radical or radial में बहुत फर्क होता है, ठीक है? So, radial, dams, and then, so now, let me ask this second question. Now, all of you, you are very closer to the answer, but I'm not saying that you are perfectly correct at this point of time. My second question to you, that when you look at the Mesopotamian civilization and when you look at the particularly Egyptian civilization, when I say this word to you, Egyptian civilization, apart from the Suez Canal, what else comes to your mind? That yes, Suez crisis was recently, but we are talking about the ancient Egypt. What comes to your mind? It's the pyramids. That pyramids come to your mind. Then, so when we say that Egyptian civilization, directly even a very small child who is in class 6 or 7, he will also say that Egypt is known for the pyramids. Then, so it's very crystal clear that Egypt was known for the pyramids. And same is true about that many monumental buildings over there in the Mesopotamia. So when you look at the Egyptian civilization and Mesopotamian civilization, so they have many monumental buildings, landmark buildings. But can you tell me that was there any monumental building in the Indus Valley civilization? Answer is no. There is no monumental, there is no landmark building in the Indus Valley civilization. So the second question, even when there is a no monumental building and also that landmark building in the Indus Valley civilization, even in that scenario, it is the most advanced civilization of the world. Why? Now the second question, again you keep on writing the same thing. Taruna, I think that you have written mummy spelling galat. Pyramidal. Satish, mummy's spelling is quite right. But Taruna, you will have to correct. That will become mummy. Mama. So Deepak, Okay. Deepak, have you seen any other class of mine? Very right. So I have found the answer which I was looking for. So let me write on the board. So I have found the answer which I was looking for, and the answer is use of burnt brick makes IVC most advanced civilization of the world. So this is what is, which makes it the most advanced civilization of the world. See, this is the primary factor. This is the primary factor which makes the Indus Valley civilization most advanced civilization of the world. The secondary is the town planning, and in fact those drainage system, granaries, they are part of the town planning or urban planning. They are the part of that only where it can be elaborated. So the primary factor of Indus Valley civilization to be called as the most advanced civilization is the use of burnt brick. Then the question arises that use of the burnt brick, what about the pyramids? Don't you say that they were not made from the burnt brick? So yes, I will say that the pyramids are not made from the burnt brick, but pyramids, though the landmark buildings still existing, they are made from the sun-dried bricks. They are not stones also, but इतना humongous structure होने के बावजूद भी pyramids are made from the sun-dried brick. Moreover, so same is true about the Mesopotamian or any other civilization. So they did not made their houses, their buildings, their landmark buildings, monumental buildings from the burnt brick, but they were using the sun-dried bricks. So there is a one layer of advancement in the Indus Valley civilization, that they learned the art of baking the brick, and then after baking the brick, they ensured that it is going to survive for a much longer time. That's the one factor. Second factor was the kind of urban planning which was there in the Indus Valley civilization, that was impeccable then, and it was not seen in any of the contemporary civilization of that time. So these two makes the Indus Valley civilization very advanced civilization. Moreover, one more factor which you could have added in the Indus Valley, that these burnt brick which were used in IVC, they were of same shape and size. So they all were of same shape and size. So this is, now you guys don't need to write anything, you have the answers then. So it's because of this one, this is the most advanced civilization of the world. Please write few words about this one. Then please write, and I'm not quoting once again that Dayaram Sahani and then Rakhal Das Banerjee, you have already written. So bas itna wala part likh lo, that after the excavation of Indus sites, after the excavation of Indus sites, it was established that it was the most advanced civilization of the world. It was the most advanced civilization of the world. Most advanced civilization of the world. Full stop, then you write. After full stop, you write. It was the first civilization. It was the first civilization where burnt bricks were used. It was the first civilization where burnt bricks were used of same shape and size. Of same shape and size. Same shape and size. And in brackets you write, on the other hand, the contemporary civilization of Egypt and Mesopotamia, in the contemporary civilization of Egypt and Mesopotamia, sun-dried bricks were used. Sun-dried bricks were used. Sun-dried bricks were used. Then you write after full stop. After full stop you mention another factor which makes Indus Valley, very advanced is their impeccable town planning. Their impeccable town planning. Then, so their impeccable town planning. Full stop. So this is what makes Indus Valley civilization most advanced civilization in the world. Okay? So now let's look at that different features in the Indus Valley civilization, different architectural things. So as I said to you when you were writing these things, that what were the highlights of the Indus Valley, so town planning and seals. So seal is one of the most important artifact found from the Indus Valley civilization. But let me list out that what all things we are going to read as the architectural things in Indus Valley concerned. So we will be talking about the seals. We are going to talk about the, after the seals, we will mention the pottery of the Indus Valley civilization. We will also mention sculptures. Then in sculpture, there would be three types: stone, bronze, and terracotta. Then I would also mention ornaments and jewelries. And then the last one, here some cosmetics also we'll be mentioning. And see, that's a very childish to ask that what do you mean by architecture? But let's explain. I hope, I expected that you must be knowing that what is architecture. And oh my God. This is what you guys are asking. I know that very first page of the Nitin Singhania, this is what is written, that he has defined that what is architecture and what is a sculpture. A building is a piece of architecture. Then a building is a piece of architecture. A temple is a piece of architecture. A mosque is a piece of architecture. Then I also know that what has been written in that particular paragraph. Please don't ask this kind of question. I feel pity on you guys. Then, so I expect that this much must be known to you. You don't know architecture. How come? You don't know architecture. What is architecture? And then I have went on to say on length that iska architecture, uska architecture, iski architecture, uski architecture, and then some informal language also. So please don't let me feel pity on you guys. Then ornaments, and then the next one after this one, ornaments. The last thing that we'll be mentioning is the town planning. Abhi पूछ लो. If this is the question, so then you guys can also ask that what is the sculpture, and then I will say कि थोड़ा एक बार सोच लो कि एग्जाम देना है कि नहीं देना है. I would be that much harsh then. So seals, pottery, sculptures, ornaments, and town planning. Now let's begin with the very first one, seals. Then so seals. Then so now you have written in your ancient classes that seals were one of the most important artifacts, but here we need to define. So listen, that seals are one of the most important artifacts found from the Indus Valley civilization. So they are one of the most important artifacts found from the Indus Valley civilization, and moreover, so what all question we can ask regarding the seal? What was the shape of the seal? Listen first. What was the shape of the seal? what is the material which is used in creation of the seal, and then we can ask a question, what is created on the seal, and then after, what is the importance of the seal. So these are the questions, these are the threads on which we are going to discuss this one. So first of all, I am saying that seals are one of the most important artifacts found from the Indus Valley civilization. In fact, till this point of time, we have more than 4,000 seals that we have found. Then, so more than 4,000 seals we have found, and moreover, they are one of the very important source of information about the Indus Valley civilization. When it comes to that, what all material goes into the manufacture of the seal, so the materials which were used for the creation of the seal, it included the metals, it included the terracotta, and most importantly, it was soft river stone, statite, which was used for making the seals. Then, so we have the instances of the copper, bronze seal, but we also have the instances of gold and silver seals. Then, so though very less in number, but gold and silver seals were also found. So when it comes to materials, so these all materials were used for the construction, manufacturing of the seal. Then, what is the shape of the seal? So it is a geometrical shaped object. So meaning that it could be squarish, it could be rectangular, it could be circular. Then, so it is a geometrical shaped object. Done. Then material we have discussed, then shape we have discussed, then what is the nature of the seal, what is written, what is created. So seals are pictographic in nature, meaning that many pictures and symbols were created on the seals. Then, so seals are pictographic in nature. Many pictures and symbols were created on the seal, and on the basis of these pictures and symbols, we can infer many information about the Indus Valley civilization. So with the help of some examples, we will be inferring that what we can conclude. So please write that seals are one of the most important piece of artifact found from Indus Valley civilization. Then further you mention, it is a geometrical shaped object. It is a geometrical shaped object. It is a geometrical shaped object, and in brackets you can write square, circle, triangular, etc. Circular, triangular, etc. It's a geometrical shaped object. Then you write mainly made up from soft river stone, statite. Mainly made up from soft river stone, statite. Mainly made up from soft river stone, statite. Then in brackets you also write, there were also instances of seals made from metals like copper, bronze, gold and silver. Copper, bronze, gold and silver. 10. Then next you mention seals were pictographic in nature. Seals were pictographic in nature. Seals were pictographic in nature. Meaning of this word, many pictures and symbols were created. So pictographic means pictures and symbols. And since you have read in the ancient that we have dearth of the information about the Indus Valley civilization, the reason the script of the Indus Valley civilization, which is the pictographic script, it has not been deciphered till this date. So इसीलिए जब भी हम कभी Indus Valley civilization के बारे में कुछ लिखते हैं, so we add the word maybe and perhaps, because nothing is perfectly conclusive in the Indus Valley civilization. There are rare instances which is perfectly concluded, but otherwise maybe or perhaps would be the word which you will always attach with the things associated with the Indus Valley civilization. कि ये हो सकता था, वो हो सकता था, this way. So now, so pictographic in nature. Then, so this we have mentioned. Now we are going to elaborate this example through, or this particular seals through many examples. That is the purpose of the seal, and then many inferences that we can draw from the seal. So you write next part. I hope, अच्छा मुझे बताना तुम लोग कि ये सब तो नहीं पढ़ा है ना, that उस वाले अपने उसके क्लास में about the seal, that you guys have not studied these all things in the ancient, because synopsis once it is created, so वो तो सब कुछ, that what all things has been taught in the classes, they don't keep everything in the synopsis. But I hope that ये सब नहीं पढ़ा होगा, इसलिए I'm elaborating this part. So please confirm, you guys. So second, then you write purpose of seals and inferences. Purpose of seal and inferences. Chalo, good. It has not been taught. So purpose of the seal, so as polity, economy, social stratification. Good, good, good. Thank you. So purpose of the seal, let's write few of the things. That these seals were often used as a stamping material. Then, so they were often used as a stamping material. Listen, these seals, they facilitated in the trade. They facilitated in the trade, and you know that Indus Valley civilization was doing trade with the civilization of the Mesopotamia, civilization of the Sumer, Dilmun, these all areas. Then even Magan coast. So these all areas, they were doing trade. They were doing trade with the Afghanistan also. They were doing the trade in India also. So whenever the trade was happening, so what was the process? That one such consignment, suppose that there is a one consignment of wheat and that is going to the Mesopotamia. So what they are doing, that they will just that tie the bag, and on that one seal would be stamped. Then so one seal will be stamped, and this seal is not only the facilitating the trade, but it is also the mark of authority of the Indus Valley civilizations. Then, so seal is the mark of authority of a particular civilization, and moreover, it is facilitating in the trade. And from Indus Valley to other place, when it is going, so they will note that this particular consignment has come from the Indus Valley civilization. So very first usage is that it facilitated in the trade, and moreover it was the mark of authority of the Indus Valley civilization. So likho isko, that seals facilitated, yes Shivam, it is like the today's stamps. Then so seals facilitated in the trade, and it was mark of seals facilitated in the trade, and it was mark of authority of IVC. Mark of authority of IVC. Sorry. So mark of authority of IVC. So this is the first purpose. Then second purpose that we can write about the seal. So seals were also used as an semanic object. Then, and let me define that what is semanism. Then so या semanic या पहले ऐसे लिखते हैं. Seals were, please write, seals were also used as an emulate. Emulate. And what is emulate? It is a semantic object. Semantic object. Now, I hope for most of you, these two words, emulates and अगर जो emulate पता होगा तो semantic नहीं पता होगा, हो सकता है दोनों ही नहीं पता हो. So what is this emulate? Let me tell you that what is emulate. Can you see that this what I am wearing? It's a kind of an emulate. Then, though you can call it as a ring, and then in this ring there is a particular kind of stone, but tabiz, have you heard about tabiz? So tabiz is the emulate. Then, and why do people wear, this is not tabiz, but I was just giving you example. So tabiz, so why do people wear tabiz? Tabiz they do wear because they want to ward off the evil things from the life. Then, so the purpose of wearing a tabiz is to ward off evil. So the purpose of wearing tabiz is to ward off evil. Now, semantic object. So it's a category of the semantic object. Now, understand this also. Shamanism is a practice. समझना इसको. Shamanism is a practice which in Hindi, what we call this practice, tantric or tantricism. In English, you call tantricism or shamanism. So, tantric practices, in the tantric practices, it is prescribed that you wear a particular kind of tabiz and this kind of ghost would not be coming to your life or they will not be haunting you. So it is a shamanic practice. Wearing a tabiz is a shamanic practice and that's what people of the Indus Valley civilization did. So it means that some kind of the tantric practices were or shamanism was prevalent in the Indus Valley civilization. One more factor of the shamanism, isko likhna nahi, but you understand that shamanism says that the people who practice this shamanism, they say they have equal power to communicate with the God and to communicate with the evil. So in case if you are not following what has been instructed by them, so then they will communicate to the evil and then he will be taking you in his arrest and then your life would be ruined. And then if you are going according to the tantric, what they are saying, so then God will listen to you and your life would be quite right. And that's how people fear many of the tantrics. Then generally when people see tantric, those who gentle people and then they fearful people, so they don't come in the way of the tantrics because they never know that what they will do. So, or what they will say. So this is the tantric practices. It is indicating towards the tantric practices were also there in the Indus Valley civilization. Okay? So please mention seals were also used as an amulet to ward off evil. Then you write, it indicates shamanic practices. It indicates shamanic practices prevalent in Indus Valley civilization. Shamanic practices prevalent in Indus Valley civilization. Then, now, third you write, seals provide information about religious practices in IVC. Information about religious practices in IVC. So here we will be writing some examples. Then, so here we will be writing some example. Lemons and coconuts on the road. So, seals provide information about religious practices in IVC. Now we will go by the example. So very first example you write. Example is Pasupati seal. Pasupati seal. Pasupati seal. I am also opening some of the images. Okay? So, and let me tell you one thing, that art and culture classes is all about the image and the dissemination of the information. So, There would be good number of images in this section, and we will be seeing these all images, without which we cannot feel completion in this particular topic. Give me a little bit of time so that I connect with the, so ये example लिख लो, and let me come back to the, अरे यार, where are the albums? So meanwhile, what you do, history. Yes, I got the images, some of the images, and from next class onwards there would be PPT of the images then. So these PPT of images I will be showing you later. अब ये जो पशुपति सील लिखा है इसका इमेज देख के we will derive some information. So as you can see that this is the image of the Pasupati seal then, and as you can see here, it is an image of a person who is sitting in a yogic posture. So let me write, you see that the legs of the person is folded, and so as he is keeping his hands on the on the legs only. So this is what we called yogic posture. Now what you can infer from this yogic posture, this posture indicates that some sort of meditation was known to the Indus Valley people, meaning the yoga practices, maybe they were prevalent in the Indus Valley civilization. This is the first inference that you can draw. Second inference, that this person has a three-horned throne, and moreover the way he is sitting, he is inferred as that it is an image of Proto-Shiva. Then, so it is inferred by the historians that it is image of a Proto-Shiva. And what do we mean by the Proto-Shiva? One of the oldest form of the Shiva, or Adi Shiva. In Hindi you say Adi Shiva. Then, so it is image of the Adi Shiva. Moreover, you can see that many animals are surrounding this person. So for example, that this animal which is over here, it is two horns are there. It seems like the bull. Then you can see that a small horn is there, and this animal, so it looks like the rhino. Then this animal, it has a large trunk, so this animal looks like the elephant. And then there are stripes on this animal, so this is the tiger. Then, so four animals which are very clearly visible in this one: elephant, rhino, bull, tiger, and elephant. Then, so these four animals. Moreover, at the lower side, there are two more animals with many horns. Then, so with many horns like this, both the sides, you can see, and then image looks like the antelope or deer. Then, so now you see this image is surrounded by so many animals, and as per the Indian mythology, the god who is associated with the animals, the god of the animals is the Lord Shiva. Then, so this is because of this particular imagery, it is considered that it is image of the Lord Shiva. Moreover, this image also says that since animals are surrounding this person, so there must be some kind of nature worship also. So not only this confirms the worship of the Proto-Shiva, but also nature worship. So three things you can infer from this from this particular example: yogic posture indicating towards the knowledge of the yoga, then it is an image of the Proto-Shiva, and maybe there was a nature worship also in the Indus Valley civilization. So this way you will have to look at the examples of the seals. So please write. You have already written. I hope you have understood. एक और image देख लो इसमें. I have come up with one more image of this one. Here, this is a drawing image. यहाँ पे थोड़ा ज़्यादा clarity है. that how it looks like. So it's a drawn image. You can see the earlier one. There is a problem with this much closer, that I'm not able to know that what it looks like exactly. Maybe from far it must be clearly visible to you. So you can see that these two antelopes are there, deer, then tiger, then elephant, there is a bull, and there is a rhino, and there are many different symbols at this place. Then he is sitting in a yogic posture, as you can see the legs and then hands in the way, and then there is a horn on his head. So please mention, from this image it was inferred, yes, if you can, you must draw. So from this image it can be inferred that Indus Valley people worshipped Proto-Siva. Indus Valley people worshipped Proto-Siva. No, that's not three-headed. That is three-horn. वो गलत लिखा हुआ है. In some places you will find in the books that they have written three-headed Siva. No, it's not three-headed. Three-horned throne is there on the head of the Siva. He is not three-headed. ठीक है? So Proto-Siva was worshipped. Then further right. It also indicates towards yogic practices. It also indicates towards yogic practices and nature worship. Yogic practices and nature worship. Yogic practices and nature worship. Then, now, there is another example. Second example. So let me write the second example of this one. Seal with, let me create the image. पहले लिखते नहीं है, ठीक है? एक बार मुझे खुद ही image बनाने दो, and then I will confirm that what is this. Then, so let me create this image. So there is this type of the seal then, and there could be more number of leaves, but as for representation, अभी इतना ही देख लो. So now, can you identify that these leaves, they seems like what? किस चीज का leaf है? So it seems like what? Can you tell me that what is this leaf? कौन सा पौधा है? Which tree is this? Okay, so tomorrow morning we have class of this art and culture. Okay, morning में है? अच्छी बात है. Okay, Padma has sent Pan ka pata. No, it is a people. Yes, you all are right. Taruna, Ayush, Vedant, Deepak, Jaydev. Then, so it is a people tree. Then, so it is a people tree. Now, look at the image. This is what I was trying to draw, but I was not perfect in this particular drawing. So you can see that this is the image. So this is a seal with the people leaf. लिख लो उसमें example में seal with the people leaf. Seal with the people leaf. Seal with the people leaf. And then now here I want to bring something scientific. समझना इस बात को, that what I want to bring over here, what is this something scientific? Now, many of you, I hope that till class 12th you have studied biology. Even not class 12th भी नहीं तो class 10 तक कम से कम biology you have studied, and moreover it is expected that in the UPSC examination you will be reading the biology, and I know nowadays rigorous basic sciences classes are going on. Then so the sir who has comes from the deep from the Akash, he is doing very hard work then, and you are all going through the basic sciences classes. So let me ask few things related to this one, और चलो मैं खुद ही बताता हूँ that क्या मैं पूछूं. So people tree, that it is indicating towards the nature worship. Obviously it is indicating towards the nature worship. Even till this point of time, the people tree is very much revered in the Indian religion then, and it is very much respected in the Indian religion. There are many such scientific aspects associated with the people tree. Try to understand it very carefully. When it comes to the people tree, it's a category of the C4 plant. Then overall, समझना इस बात को, overall in the plant kingdom there are two types of the overall in this planet Earth. When you classify the plants in this planet world, so planet Earth, you will find two types of the plant. One plant is the C3 plant and one plant is the C4 plant. I hope you must have come across these names, C3 and C4. Why they are called as C3 and C4? Basically they are indicating the 3-cycle metabolism. Then when there would be a 3-carbon cycle metabolism in a plant, so that would be C3 plant, and then when there would be a 4-carbon cycle metabolism in the plant, that is C4 plant. Then so the metabolism of the C3 plant is known as the Kelvin cycle, and metabolism of the C4 plant is known as Hatch-Slack cycle. These are the respective people who discovered these cycles in the plant. So एक के metabolism में 3 carbon, दूसरे के metabolism में 4 carbon, and that's how these two category of the plants. But why I'm bringing the discussion over here? The C3 plants are those which cover near about 80 to 85% of the planet kingdom, and these are the plants who release oxygen during the daytime. Then so C3 plants cover 80 to 85% of the plants in the planet kingdom, and they release oxygen during the daytime, but only 15 to 10% of the plants fall in the category of the C4, and these C4 plants are the one which releases oxygen day and night. So people is a C4 plant. That's why I have brought this discussion. So people is a C4 plant, which means that the air, the kind of that the oxygen, which is the most important to your life, it is released all the time by that one plant, and that plant is the people tree. There are many other plants also in the C4. Those who are perfectly from the botany and biology section, they know that grass is a C4 plant, and then these all paddy, and then wheat is a C4 plant, maize is a C4 plant, but they are seasonal ones then. And the plant which grows very rapidly, and then it has a huge number of leaves, that is the people. So the Indus Valley people must have realized this aspect of the people tree, that if you are sleeping under the people tree in the night, so then you will be quite fresh, but if you are sleeping under a mango tree, you will not be that fresh. So they must have differentiated between the qualities of the plant, and then they must have come to the conclusion that it is a divine plant. So then they started to worship the people tree, and even till this point of time, that's how the people tree is worshipped. Laltendu, Krebs cycle is in the human beings, then not in the plants. And Krebs cycle ka spelling bhi galat likha hai, I hope. Then so ornithine cycle, Krebs cycle, these are see, I very well remember what I studied in class 10th and 12th. So I hope that this must be there with you, since you guys are preparing for the UPSC, and that's the beauty of this exam, that you know all the subjects, then you know all the subjects. So I hope you guys must have you guys must have understood that what I was trying to figure out from this topic. Thoda alag bhi discussion tha, but that's how these practice is scientific also, that worshipping the people tree, somehow some scientific relation is also there. So you mentioned what you were writing, क्या लिख रहे थे तुम लोग? seal with the people leaf, seal with the people leaf, and then you mention it indicates nature worship. It indicates nature worship. Then, so it indicates people nature worship. Then, so this is the one example. Then there is a one more example of the animal, that the concept of the cohabitation in the Indian society, and particularly in the Indus Valley civilization. So there was one animal which was often represented, one more example, unicorn seal. Unicorn seal, and this was an image of one-horned animal, one-horned animal. So no such kind of animal is now available or there in the in this planet Earth, but it indicates this was the most prevalent seal found from the Indus Valley civilization, and it indicates towards the worship of the animal also. So you write that one more example. You write unicorn seal. Unicorn seal was one of the most prevalent seal found from IVC, most prevalent seal found from IVC, which also single horn unicorn, which also indicates towards nature worship and concept of cohabitation. I will explain that what is this concept of cohabitation, but first you write concept of cohabitation in IVC. Concept of cohabitation in IVC, Indus Valley civilization. So what is this concept of cohabitation? इसका मतलब है, see that this concept says that this planet Earth, you don't inherit for the human beings, but there are many other living beings on the planet Earth, non-living things also. So you share this planet Earth. You are not the only king of the planet Earth. Human being is not the only being on the planet Earth, but you share it with the others also. So that is what is the cohabitation concept. And very often you have seen in most of the images of the Indus Valley civilization that animals are equally represented, meaning that they shared this concept that we share this universe, we share this earth. We don't dominate this earth, but we share this earth. Then, so that's an important concept, and that's what is the meaning of the cohabitation. Then, so cohabitation. In fact, whenever you will be writing, if in mains examination, if the question comes, write some of the important features of the Indian society. So you must have read in the society classes that caste system you will be mentioning. You can mention about the multicultural society, plural society, diversity, these all things. But you can also mention about the concept of cohabitation, because right from the ancient times until modern times, the concept of cohabitation is still prevalent in the Indian society, where we do give some emphasis to the animals. Then, and still there are many practices where animals are worshipped. For example, that not from the communal angle, but you see that cow is worshipped, then cow is worshipped, then snake is worshipped, peacock is worshipped. For example, let me give you some more mythological examples. Have you ever thought from this perspective that many of the Hindu gods, if you go by the Hindu mythology, they all are associated with one animal? For example, that Lord Ganesha is associated with the rat, then goddess Durga is associated with the lion, then Lord Shiva has a snake in his neck, and then same is about the Lord Vishnu, that he's sleeping on Seshnag. Then what about the Lord Vishnu has another vehicle when he has to travel, so then he takes a Garuda. Then what about the Shani Dev? You all, that many of you must be fearful, and then on Sundays, Saturdays you must be wearing the black cloths. It's that your family members must have told that Shani Dev ka Dev hai, din hai, to aaj black pehno. So what is his his vehicle is the crow. Then, so when you see that all these gods and goddesses, they do have a association with one animal. So animal is very much represented in the Hindu mythology, and that is the concept of the cohabitation, meaning that you share this planet Earth with these all things. You don't dominate this planet Earth. Yamraj with buffalo. What is the name of that buffalo? Chamunda. So, and there were many such, I think, comics based on this one, that Yamraj and Chamunda or Yamunda. I don't know what is that. So I hope you understood. समझ रहे हो ना बात को? तो ये यहाँ पे represented था. ठीक है? So these are the examples. Then another purpose of the seal. Let's write one more purpose of the seal. So the next purpose of the seal, कितना लिखा था इसके पहले? Let me see. चलो, whatever that is number, you can keep on counting or you can write. I will just go with the another purpose. You write. Maybe seals were also used as educational tool. Seals were also used as educational tool. Educational tool. Then further write. Good, Vedant. So this is the fourth one, educational tool. For example, some of the seals had symbol of pi. Symbol of pi. Even pi, even phi and psi. Symbol of pi, phi, psi. Spelling गलत हो सकता है, but भावनाओं को समझना ठीक है. Pi का तो गलत लिखा. I don't know how you write phi, but pi, phi, psi. So, for example, in unicorn seal, उसका image देख लो. You can see that it seems like, I think this is psi. Then कहीं pi भी होगा. Then there could be, yes, different places, but different symbols. So here it seems that there is a psi. In some other place you will see pi. Some other place you will see psi. Then, so these all mathematical symbols were there in this particular seals. So maybe it was used as an education tool also. So pi, phi, psi. So this is all about the seal. अभी seal का topic खत्म हो गया. एक और देख लेते हैं, that is the pottery of the Indus Valley civilization. ठीक है? So this would be the last topic, and tomorrow's class in the morning we'll be starting with the rest of the topics like sculpture and ornaments, jewelries and town planning, and then we will start with the Maurya age art. Then so Maurya age art would be the major topic of tomorrow. So let's look at the one more topic today, and that is the IVC pottery. So second you write IVC pottery. IVC pottery. Then, so when it comes to the Indus Valley civilization pottery, the general pottery or general purpose pottery, it was red in color. Then it was red in color and made from the clay, baked on fire. Simple. Then so how it used to look like, that general purpose pottery, it used to look like this way. It was generally red in color, baked on fire. And what is the general purpose of this pottery? So obviously it is there for the storage of the grains, for cooking, storage of the grains and water, and for use as an utensils. Then so please mention the general purpose pottery. The general purpose pottery of IVC, the general purpose pottery of IVC was red in color. The general purpose pottery of IVC was red in color and baked on fire. Red in color and baked on fire. Then further you mention, it was used for It was used for storage of grains, water. It was used for storage of grains, water, and as utensils. And as utensils. And as utensils. Then other types of the pottery. So in pottery topics, you write miniature vessel, miniature vessels, miniature vessels, and these were, you write simultaneously, narrow and elongated pottery meant for decoration. Meant for decoration. So narrow and elongated pottery meant for decoration. Meant for decoration. So let's create one diagram of this one. So these were that here so much of decoration used to be there in these kind of pottery. They used to create beautiful designs on these potteries then, and these potteries were quite decorated with these all beautiful designs. So let me show you some of the artistic things in me also. So ऐसा मौका कहाँ मिलता है बार बार. So beautiful designs were created in these all potteries then, and then these were the ones which were meant for the decoration. This is one design which I have created. You can create any design in this one then, but this is what you need to understand here, that it is a narrow and elongated pottery. थोड़ा लंबा होगा, ठीक है? And it was meant for the decoration. Moreover, many a times that this decorated pottery were used as a burial pottery also. What is burial pottery? When somebody has died, so then with those dead people, some of the articles of those people are kept inside this pottery and it is buried along with that people. So you write many a times, इसमें फिर से लिखो, you write further, many a times these potteries were also used as a burial pottery. Burial pottery. Were also used as burial pottery. Then one more pottery for the decoration purpose. Please mention. This spelling you write. Fanes pottery, इसी में लिखो. Fanes pottery. Fanes is a particular material. Then, so Fanes pottery was also used for decoration. Fanes pottery was also used for decoration. Shivam, I would have been, but मेरे घर वालों ने allow ही नहीं किया. I was interested in fine arts, but they saw it as की wastage of talent. They never know. They were never knew I could have been next Picasso, Michelangelo. कुछ ज़्यादा नहीं हो गया. So Fanes pottery. Then Fanes pottery. Then one more type of the pottery that we need to discuss. I'll show you the images, but पहले पूरा complete कर लो. One last type of the pottery is the perforated pottery. So please mention perforated pottery. So how it used to look like, this perforated pottery was interesting one, and let me create this design of the perforated pottery. Give me a little bit of time. So now this is how so this is the perforated pottery. Interesting is the image, so as the purpose. Then, so now listen, that what is the purpose of creating this kind of pottery which is perforated in nature? So there is a one thing that you need to know, that right from the inception of the human civilization, human beings, when they learned to cook food and when they learned that, that how they will be building civilization, they also knew one art, and that was the art of intoxication. So they developed intoxicating drinks, and they always wanted to keep their spirits high, and to keep their spirits high they needed some spirit to be high. Then so this spirit was the liquor. Then so to keep their spirits high they needed another type of the spirit, and that spirit was the liquor. So this particular perforated pottery was used for straining liquor. Please write, it was used for straining liquor. Used for straining liquor. Madira, yes. So human beings, right from the inception of the civilization, they learned about the Madira. Then so, and you know, these governments, they are after banning these old age practices, Madira. They don't want to inculcate right behavior in the people. Just what they think, that they will be banning these all things and then everything would be fine. So let's look at the images. This is the perforated pottery, as you can see. So this is the perforated pottery. Then और क्या देखा था हमने? What all things we have seen? So let me come to the image. Unicorn you have seen, and then yes, Harappa burial pottery. So there is this image of the Harappa burial pottery. You can see that so many beautiful designs are created, and they were the one which were buried with the classy people, जो अमीर लोग होते थे. So उनके साथ, then the poor people of the Indus Valley, they cannot afford to have such a kind of beautiful pottery. So they were buried with the simple type of the pottery. So that's how you can differentiate the class of the people according to the pottery which was buried with them. So if a decorated pottery is buried with the people in the Indus Valley, so it means that they were the high class people, and those who were buried with the simple pottery, they were the lower class people. Another example of this burial pottery. So you can see this image. Then so you can see this image. Straining liquor का मतलब होता है मदिरा को छानना, ठीक है? So they were then, so this is all about this particular pottery section, ठीक है? So now we are done with the most of the topics which we needed to do today. And चलो, so tomorrow I know that at least कल तो मुझे पता है कि तुम्हारे में क्लास है. So tomorrow I will be starting with these all topics, ठीक है? That town planning of the Indus Valley civilization, and then also the Maurya period, where we will be talking about that so many things, not just the stupa but many other things. So I hope that today's class was helpful, and as far as the sources are concerned, tomorrow I will discuss that what all sources we need to go through. Okay? Because before the sources, I need to know something from you, then I can suggest the sources. Chalo. Okay, thank you. Bye. Meet you tomorrow in the morning.